Victory Monday has never felt like this around Detroit. What an amazing Sunday night game. We're back with a Monday edition of Locked On Lions to wrap this season up.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It is a Monday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, Monday, January 9th and a Tuesday, January 10th. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you're watching or listening. We thank you for making us a part of your day today. Lions win last night over the Packers. You saw the postcast or listened to it this morning. But recapping everything, Lions finished 9-8, kind of bummed out that the season is over, but man, positive vibes everywhere. We'll get into a little Jared Goff talk today. We'll get you the PFF top 5 and bottom 5 offensive and defensive performers from last night's win over the Packers, a Ben Johnson update, and some thank yous. All coming up today on Locked On Lions, and this Monday edition of the show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. And they have a special offer for my listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedon. You can follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, the Matt Dery Facebook fan page. And again, we are up and running last few months on YouTube, so watch the shows, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Your comments always welcome. And we thank everybody for all the positive vibes over this season. Lions finished 9-8. Last night was absolutely incredible. And kind of wake up this morning, you feel so good about the win. You love knocking Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs. You've seen the videos now. Dan Campbell speaking in the locker room. He had 2 game balls. He handed out one to Jamal Williams. So well deserved. And Jamal kind of gave a speech talking about his great-grandfather passing and everything else. The other game ball went to the owner, Sheila Hamp. Yes, Mrs. Hamp is getting some love in this area. Can she be different than her mom and dad? It seems like the Lions, the Hamps, the Fords, they've got it figured out. They've got the general manager, the young up-and-coming mind who's drafted so well the last 2 years, and they've got the head coach who the entire team has bought into playing for, who has adopted this culture, and who coached a little bit this year. All right, player development. We're talking about Jamal Williams. He was a cast-off from the Packers. John Kaminsky, cast-off from the Falcons. Isaiah Buggs played on a couple of teams, cast-off. Will Harris has been reborn. Evan Brown. I mean, these guys that have developed and become really good players for the Lions. You have to give credit where credit is due, and give credit to this coaching staff for how well they've done. And Sheila Hamp got a game ball last night and told the team in the locker room, all roads go through Detroit. They are very, very positive, and the positive vibes aren't just coming from Allen Park, nationally too. I saw some people today that said there's no question about it. The Lions are going to be the favorites to win the NFC North next year. Dan Campbell said it after the game last night. Next step is to get into the tournament, get into the dance, into the playoffs, and make some noise. So they're ahead of schedule, in my opinion. I thought this was a 6-7 win team that was going to be better, but still didn't have enough talent. And they went out this year and exceeded expectations, in my opinion. Did they blow some games? Sure. Did they need the Rams to help them with the Seahawks and all that to get into the playoffs? And should they have just beaten Seattle earlier in the year and that way they would have been in? Sure. They made their share of mistakes. But you have to tip your cap to this organization in the direction that they are going. And think about this. They haven't spent a lot of money in free agency the last 2 years. They're going to have to re-up some of their own free agents and bring Jamal Williams back. And I mentioned Kaminsky and others that they're going to need to bring back. But it's exciting, man. It's awesome. I'm so happy for the fans. And I'm just absolutely exhausted from last night, but also so excited for next season. It's going to be unbelievable. Tomorrow, I kind of want to go through next year's schedule a little bit, go through the home opponents, the road opponents. It's going to be tough on the road, and it looks like it's going to be cake at home, just on first glance. But we'll talk about that coming up tomorrow. All right, Jared Goff has won me over. And I'm not somebody that has ever been that big of a Jared Goff fan. There have been plenty of times over the last couple of years that I thought he's overmatched. They need to upgrade a quarterback. They need to find their Patrick Mahomes or whatever it is. But Jared Goff is on a streak right now for the Lions. And one of the many reasons why this team finished with a winning record, finished the season 8-2 after starting 1-6, is the quarterback play. Jared Goff was not spectacular last night. Jared Goff was not spectacular in New York in either game against the Giants or the Jets. Jared Goff plays very well at home. He's a different quarterback at home than he is on the road. But he's making enough plays to win, leadership capabilities as a veteran, and has stepped up in an immense way in this community. Jared Goff right now, over the last 9 games, has not thrown an interception. That's tough. Ball bounces off the hands of your receiver, not your fault, but it counts in the record books as an interception. You get hit as your throw, and you didn't mean to throw it 5 feet, but it goes 5 feet to a defensive lineman, that still counts. Jared Goff right now is on a streak of 9 straight games without an interception, which is tied for 3rd all time in NFL history. Tied with Aaron Rodgers, Alex Smith, and the Lord and Savior, Bernie Kosar, back in 91 when he was quarterback in the Cleveland Browns. Derek Carr is 2nd all-time with 10 straight games, and Tom Brady, going back to 2010, holds the all-time record for the Patriots with 11. But it's a remarkable feat, and it just goes to show Ben Johnson, the staff, the players around Jared Goff, the offensive line. I mean, think about this. Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown's pretty darn good at wide receiver. The Lions traded their second-best receiver in T.J. Hawkinson in the middle of the season. DJ Chark was hurt for portions of the year. Josh Reynolds was hurt for portions of the year. Jamison Williams didn't play until after Thanksgiving and never really made a big impact. And of course, last night he had the touchdown catch that was called back with the Matt Nelson hold. But Jared Goff, it took Jamal Williams to get to 1,000 yards last night, so it wasn't the greatest dominant running game ever. Lions running game is good. But Jared Goff deserves some credit. He's gotten better. He makes good decisions. He's smart with the football. And just when you think, like watching last night, and I tweeted it out, just when you think he's going to have a horrible game and he's wearing this glove and every throw is in the dirt, the guy rolls to his left and throws across his body and hits Khalif Raymond for an unbelievable 50-yard plus pickup down to the 1-yard line. That was the best throw of the game. That was better than any throw Aaron Rodgers had last night. Now, Rodgers hit Watson deep on a ball. He threw a great pass to Dobbs that Dobbs dropped. The touchdown to Lazard was a strike by Rodgers. But all in all, Jared Goff's been really good. And there's no reason why the Lions, with the 6th overall pick or the 18th overall pick, need to waste any draft capital on a quarterback. Maybe later rounds you go get somebody. I loved Tua's brother at Maryland, Tagovailoa. Love him. Love to see him like the 5th round. I don't know. Somebody like that you develop. But at 6 and 18, this team needs to add defense. They need a cornerback. They need another defensive lineman for sure. Maybe even a linebacker. My buddy Al was texting me today. What about Noah Sewell, a linebacker from Oregon, and Penei Sewell's brother? I would love the entire Sewell family on this team, the way they play. All right, coming up next, we'll get into the PFF grades. Ben Johnson talk as well. But Locked On Lions today is proudly brought to you by Tommy John. Oh, my goodness gracious. Starting the winter time, you want to be warm. You want to start the year in Tommy John. You're that much more comfortable. You can do everything better. Tommy John Loungewear, pajamas, and underwear have dozens of comfort innovations like luxuriously soft tri-blend and micro model fabrics with 4-way stretch and no lint balls or fuzz. With over 20 million pairs sold, thousands of 5-star reviews, people love Tommy John. That's why Tommy John doesn't have customers, they have fanatics. All right? Bought a pair of loungewear. I had some Tommy John stuff sent to me. It's so comfortable. It's phenomenal. It really is. And it's backed by Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. Get 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. 20% off right now at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. See site for details. And Locked On Lions is sponsored by BetterHelp Therapy Online. It is simple, folks. Life doesn't come with a manual. Life doesn't come with instructions. You need some help sometimes. You need to talk to somebody. All right? BetterHelp Online Therapy is basically the next best thing. All right? Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learning productive coping skills. Therapy, closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. Why not check out what BetterHelp can do for you? They've connected over 3 million people with licensed therapists. It's convenient, secure, and accessible anywhere, 100% online. The great thing about it is, if you try a therapist out and you don't like them, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. Doesn't get any better than that. It's very simple. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Get unstuck with BetterHelp. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. All right, news of the day. Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator, super brain, amazing job this year. The hook and ladder call last night in the fourth quarter. Ben Johnson has done wonders for this offense. Ben Johnson has done wonders for Jared Goff. Ben Johnson has made guys like Evan Brown improve, the guys across the offensive line, the running game, Jamal Williams, etc. Ben Johnson has been formally requested by the Houston Texans. They have requested the Lions to interview Ben Johnson for their head coaching job. No surprise, Lovie Smith is out in Houston. We saw today Cliff Kingsbury let go by Arizona. He was terrible. Denver looking for a head coach, of course, already fired Nathaniel Hackett. The Colts have an opening. Jeff Saturday was the interim coach, but they're looking around. And their GM, Chris Ballard, also with Mr. Irsay, will be looking for a head coach. Maybe Saturday keeps the gig. Who knows? But there's a lot of openings. There are openings out there for the head coaching jobs. Carolina Panthers also should be interviewing Ben Johnson. But we know today, here on a Monday, that the Texans have requested to interview Ben Johnson. Here's the thing. I'm hoping he doesn't go anywhere. The offense clicked in a big way this year. The scheme, the speed, the mix of run and pass. The play call last night where Goff rolled right, threw back left to Swift. I mean, there's just, the hook and ladder, the use of the tight ends. Ben Johnson today did an amazing job this year. And credit to Dan Campbell. All right. August was rolling around. What were we saying? What was I saying on this podcast? And I was wrong. I'll admit it. I was wrong. Dan Campbell's going to call plays again. He did last year at the end of the year after they basically castrated Anthony Lynn. And I just thought, yeah, Ben Johnson's the OC, but this is still going to be Dan Campbell's show. And instead, Campbell handed the reins over to Johnson. And if you had to give him a grade, you give him an A+. This offense was tough to beat, man. And even last night, the play calls, the fourth down call to Chark, everything worked. And this is, Amon-Ra St. Brown is as close as there is to a Pro Bowler for the Lions in the skill position game. But that was it. There weren't any other Pro Bowl players. There were plenty of, guys that were alternates, etc. The Lions had one Pro Bowl player, Frank Ragnow at center. But what Ben Johnson has done with this offense is taken it to new heights. You got to figure, Denver or Houston or Carolina or one of these teams is going to hire him eventually. But keep your fingers crossed that he gets to stay. He did a fantastic job this year with this offense. So the Texans are after him. As far as Pro Football Focus, tomorrow I want to give you the top 5 and bottom 5 Lions for the season on offense and defense for the entire year. But today, we got to talk about last night's game. I could watch highlights of last night's game like all day today. The Jamal Williams interview afterwards, everything. It's just awesome. To knock Aaron Rodgers and the Packers out of the playoffs. A chance that they knocked Aaron Rodgers out of, ended his career. Think about that. Kirby Joseph has the football right now of Aaron Rodgers' last pass, possibly ever. Do I think he's going to come back? I do. Do I think the Packers are going to try to get a way to get him out of there and give Jordan Love the keys? I do. I don't know where Rodgers would land. I don't know if he would go to Vegas, be reunited with Devontae Adams or something. But there is that chance that Rodgers retires. Could you imagine having that ball Kirby Joseph has right now? The last Rodgers throw was an interception by, as he called himself in the introductions on NBC last night, J. Curb. Amazing. All right, PFF top 5 and bottom 5 from last night. Also, some shout-outs. I want to give some thank yous out there to folks that help the podcast, folks that listen. Probably going to forget folks. I'm probably going to forget people, so don't take it personally if I didn't write your name down, but I did it kind of off the top of my head. But Locked On Lions is brought to you by our friends at Ultimate Football GM. It's a lot of fun. I'm really geeked out about our new partnership with them. The mobile game Ultimate Football GM. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an NFL general manager and managing your football franchise, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. You manage every aspect of your team. Trades, draft, hiring coaches and coordinators. It's a lot of fun. All right? All this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Football GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go, as you want, when you want to. We've had a lot of friends do this, or I've had a lot of folks at Locked On Network do this with us. It is very fun. Locked On Lions listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when you use the promo code LOCKEDON. That's in all caps in the game store. That's Locked On in all caps, so make sure you check it out today. Download the game. Just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. That's ultimate-gm.com. Ultimate Football GM. Start your dynasty today. Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Lions, the best 9-8 team of all time. I'm putting that out there. Not in the playoffs. Instead, Seattle will go to play San Francisco Saturday afternoon. We'll talk about some of the matchups later in the week. Ross Tucker going to join us on Wednesday here on the program, here on Locked On Lions. All right, top 5 offensive players from last night's win over the Packers. Number 1, Khalif Raymond got an 80.4 grade. Tops among offensive players for the Lions. Jared Goff came in second, 79.3. Jamison Williams, actually, third, 78.0. Jamal Williams, 78.0. And DeAndre Swift, a 75.4 grade for the running back. The guys that really struggled last night, bottom 5, Jonah Jackson, 46.6. Shane Zylstra, 49.6. Evan Brown, 51.4. The interior of the Lions O-line really struggled in the first half last night, both in pass pro and run blocking. Matt Nelson, 52.5, and Brock Wright, 55.3, tied with his fellow tight end teammate, James Mitchell. As far as the defensive performers, how about the commish, John Kaminsky, a 90.2 grade in 46 snaps. Just incredible performance. Alex Anzalone, the pride of Gaines Media, 79.1. 79.0 grade for Isaiah Buggs. He was fantastic. The D-tackle played really well. Kirby Joseph, 78.1. And fifth, Aiden Hutchinson, 77.4. How could you argue against Hutch winning Defensive Rookie of the Year? I know Sauce Gardner was good. I know Tariq Woolen was good. I think Aiden Hutchinson should win it. I really do. He was awesome. Bottom 5 performers. Josh Paschal, 43.1 on defense. James Houston, 46.3. Jerry Jacobs, 48.0. Romeo Okwara, 53.3. And Derek Barnes, who actually played 34 snaps. He played more snaps than Rodrigo last night. Derek Barnes, 56.7. So those are your top 5 and bottom 5 Lion performers from last night's win over the Green Bay Packers. All right, some people to thank for the season. And I'm probably forgetting names. People might get mad. So I have this long list, but bear with me. First of all, I'm not going anywhere. This isn't a goodbye. This is just thank yous for the end of the season. David Locke, the proprietor of the Locked On Podcast Network, for bringing me on in 2016 and having my back. Ross Jackson, director of the NFL Locked On Network. Appreciate David and Ross. Those guys are amazing. Cam LaFontaine. LaFontaine. Big Lions guy. Cam behind the scenes at Locked On just helps me tremendously. Dave Selfaro from PFF. Anytime you want anybody on from Pro Football Focus, Diamond Dave, big Wolverines fan, big Lions fan, always hooks us up. Sammy Steinlight, who hooks us up with some of the guests like Ross Tucker, Mike Pritchard, Mike Lombardi. Thank you, Sammy, for all you do in helping us here on the broadcast. I got to give a shout out as well to the man I call the executive producer of this show. Always looking out for the show, sending me articles, sending me audio clips. Nathan Litke. I love Nathan like a brother and appreciate that. Some of the listeners, all right, and this is in no order. Some of you tweet to me. Some of you are on Facebook. Some of you are on YouTube. I'm probably going to forget folks. But I mentioned before Gaines Media. Robert Banker. The Bank. Thanks, Robert. Michael Spath. Chauncey Williamson. Chavez Vincent. Drew Nickel. Rich Borland. Rich always is listening. Segi Isho. Straight No Chasers. The best a cappella group ever. My guy Andy Jabauer. Mark and Joe Shell. JP Rea. Listens all the time. Ivory on Twitter. Ivory Jackson. Anthony Pavicic. Dawn and Jake Von Erich. Love you guys. Turner Batdorf, who sent us the 222 Rod Wood sign. Chris Palme, Greg Myrick, Brad Migdal, Kevin Richards, Brian Fantich. Brian loves this team. Chad Bush, my man from the Prep and the voice of the Motor City Cruise. Matty Style, my guy Al. Everybody that listens all the time. I cannot thank you enough. I know we had Eric Eager on this year. Eric loved the Lions. These are all off the top of my head. So I wrote a lot of them down. If I'm forgetting anybody, I apologize. But all of you played a huge role in listening and sending me stuff, and I appreciate that. Monday edition of Locked On Lions in the books. We're back again tomorrow.